Welcome to the May NAIOP Southern Nevada Breakfast Program. I'm Matthew Hoyt, and I have the privilege of serving as your chapter president this year. Good morning to everyone in attendance here at the Orleans and to everyone in attendance viewing by Zoom. For all of you that are here in the room, you'll find notepads at your tables. Please write down any questions you have during the program, and Dan Tuntland with the Programs Committee will collect them for our Q&A session, which will wrap up the program from 9 o'clock to 9:15. Today we have some very special guests in our audience. I'd like to recognize our elected officials in attendance today. Please stand and be recognized. City of North Las Vegas Planning Commission, Jimmy Vega. City of Henderson Mayor Michelle Romero. City of Las Vegas Councilwoman Victoria Seaman. And City of North Las Vegas Councilman Richard Churchio. We also want to recognize our UNLV students in attendance today. I'm told we have 10 students in attendance. If you're a student, please stand and welcome to NAIOP. All, if you see a bright ribbon, a name tag this morning, those are your students. Please welcome them to joining us this morning at our breakfast program. Let's take a moment to honor our current President's Circle sponsors. They're a critical component to the successes of our NAIOP chapter. This year we have 5 platinum sponsors. City of North Las Vegas, a new platinum sponsor this year. Cox Business, which has supported our chapter for over 21 years. Gatsky Commercial since 2022. And Martin Harris Construction since 2001. And Schnitzer Properties since 2000. Thank you to our platinum level sponsors this year. We also want to thank our 8 gold level sponsors: Burke Construction Group, EBS Realty Partners, Heller Companies, Howard Hughes, Kimley Horn and Associates, Majestic Realty, Prologis, and Southern Nevada Water Authority. Thank you to our 8 gold level sponsors this year. Now please look to the screen as we recognize our silver sponsors, our bronze sponsors, and finally our copper level President's Circle sponsors. I'm still happy to report that support from our President's Circle sponsors has reached an all-time high in 2025. If you're not currently a President's Circle sponsor, it's still a great time to join. If you're interested, please stop by the registration table out front for a package where you can talk to myself, Lisa Brady at Prologis, Katrina Bruce, or Jonna Savage. And now to our committee announcements. We're saving some time this morning, so I'll make those committee announcements. First, I'd like to take a moment to recognize all of our committee leadership and committee members. You guys are integral to our chapter. I want to give a big shout out to our golf committee. This year, you guys did an excellent job putting on the tournament, which was just on Friday. If we could please stand if you're a member of the golf committee. And a round of applause, please, for our golf committee members. And I don't know what you guys did, but somehow you told the weatherman to stop the wind on Friday out there at Paiute, so just pulled one out of your back pocket there. Bus tours, save the date for our 2025 bus tour. That will be on November 13th. Education, we have an exclusive members-only workshop on Friday, May 30th. It's titled Navigating the Financial Frontier. Our panelists include Thomas Godbout of First Savings Bank, Guy Gugino, MidFirst Bank, Sebastian Torres, ComCap Advisors, and our moderator, Michael Snites-Havel of AGP Capital. Looking forward to that one on May 30th. We also have our bowling tournament coming up here at the Orleans on August 14th at the Bowling Center. You must be a NAIOP member to purchase a team, and you must have at least one NAIOP member on your team. We have one $500 sponsorship available to our members available for that tournament. We'd also like you to save the date for our social event of the year, which will be on September 25th at Chicken and Pickle. Watch for member sponsorship opportunities soon. We also like to recognize our new members each month. If you're a new member, please stand and welcome to NAIOP. Everyone, if you see a red ribbon on name tags, please be sure to welcome our new members. I'm happy to report that we are ranked as the 9th largest chapter in NAIOP right now, currently 736 members strong. A quick thank you to our membership committee for continuing to tout the value of NAIOP membership. If you've never been a member, now's the time. We've got over 330 people in the room today, continued record attendance at our events. The networking benefits of being a NAIOP member has never been better. There's a few ways to join. You can stop at the registration table for an application outside the front door. You can visit our website to join online. You can call the NAIOP office, or you can reach out to anyone with the membership committee ribbon on their name tag this morning. We'd also like to thank our 2025 breakfast meeting sponsors, American Nevada Realty, Carpenter Sellers Delgado Architects, City of North Las Vegas, Cox Business, Martin Harris Construction, NV Energy, Panattoni Development, Schnitzer Properties, Southern Nevada Water Authority, the Whiting Turner Contracting Company, and our Wi-Fi sponsor, Gatsky Commercial. Thank you to our breakfast meeting sponsors. And a special thank you to this morning's breakfast meeting sponsor, Cox Business, which is also one of our platinum level sponsors. I'd like to call Bill Luce, Enterprise Account Manager, to the stage.
Good morning. I'm Bill Luce with Cox Communications, and we've been honored to be part of this group for over 20 years and partnering with the developers to help provide service to all of your clients as you are building out this valley. We'd like to play a little short video from my Vice President, Steve Westerman.
I'm Steve Westerman, the Market Vice President for Cox Business here in Las Vegas. Cox Business supports the business, so we call it B2B sales organization and operations here in Las Vegas. We really serve from the smallest business, just a mom and pop shop serving tacos out of a taco truck, all the way up to the largest organizations in town, including the Golden Knights and Las Vegas Raiders. So with the Raiders, we are an official technology partner, and so we've had the opportunity to really wire that building for sound out there. We've got Wi-Fi throughout the entire arena, and we've even got crews that work there during games and events to make sure that everything's running smoothly. So when all the patrons come to games or concerts, they can get on their phones more easily under the Wi-Fi. We have a lot of work that goes on before any event, but then being there in that gorgeous facility is just amazing, and they're really cutting edge technology throughout that entire stadium. I'll tell you what motivates me from a Cox perspective is what we do in our community and the communities that we serve across the nation. It's really nice. We put our money where our mouth is, and we get out there and we volunteer and we donate to a lot of great charities. So that's probably the number one thing that motivates me, as well as the relationships that we're developing. They go very deep, and we've got great relationships across the valley. I love being a decision maker here in Nevada because it's such a great place to live and play and do work. Everybody's got a sense of what Las Vegas is like until you get here. And one of the things I've learned in this role is it's really a great place to be. All of the business community has been arms wide open for us, and it's been really nice to meet a lot of key players in the market, and everybody's really open, and it's been great. Plus, it's one of the fastest growing markets in the U.S., so it's been really fun to watch new businesses grow and thrive in Nevada.
Well, thank you once again. Enjoy your breakfast, but if you got developments that you're wanting to make sure Cox is in the ground when you are, please let us know. Thank you.
Thanks again to Cox Business. Next, we've got a very special guest at our program today. I'd like to introduce our NAIOP guest speaker, NAIOP 2025 Chairman Alex Thompson, to the stage. With 2 decades of experience in commercial real estate, Alex has gained expertise in every aspect of the business, spanning acquisitions, entitlements, development, financing, and dispositions. His professional journey has seen him involved in over $2 billion worth of transformative commercial real estate projects. He is the founder of Prevail Consultants, offering strategic guidance as a trusted advisor and fractional executive for companies and entrepreneurial owners alike. He's a fellow of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors and a member of the executive board of the Center for Cities and Communities at the University of Alberta. Alex is a founding member of the NAIOP Edmonton chapter. Welcome to the stage, Alex.
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you giving me a brief opportunity to speak to you. It's a great honour to be the chair of our association. I'm actually the first ever Canadian to be the chair of the association, and I always say to people, the Canadians sort of insist that I say I don't sound like a Canadian too, so if you're thinking, where's that accent from? As you can tell, I'm from somewhere in Scotland originally. But what I wanted to just share with you a little bit briefly is the passion that I have for our association, why I really think it's a great group. I know already that you're aware of the great things that you're doing here in the state of Nevada with your chapter, but I wanted to give you just a couple of quick tidbits about what we're doing around the rest of the continent. You're part of an association with 22,000 members, and so my theme for the year was that as one NAIOP, we're better together than even as we are as the strongest chapter. We've had the ability this year to go and meet with members of the House Ways and Means Committee. I got to meet Speaker Johnson and spend some time with him talking about the contribution of our industry. And we should be proud as commercial real estate professionals that our industry contributed $2.5 trillion to the US economy last year. So we're making an immense contribution to our communities. And we should also be grateful that we have the opportunity, as we do this morning, to spend time with some of our elected officials and just convey some of that desire that we have as the development community to make a lasting contribution to the communities where we live. We're also got students here, and I've had the chance this year, as I've flown around, to meet a number of the universities that we're working with in different markets. That's a big part of where we're heading as an association. And we need those highly talented, the best in class people to consider our industry as a place where they want to join and thrive and make a contribution. So I'm glad that the students are here today, and if we get the chance, I'd love to chat to some of you. I've found this to be just such a good industry for me. It's been something I kind of stumbled into. I didn't know how to become a mountain guide, so I ended up doing commercial real estate. And that's a true story, actually. And then last of all are things like this, great events. I'm going to make a plug for Canada. If you noticed that I was the only person that didn't pledge allegiance to the flag, I wasn't sure they'd let me back in if I did that while I was here. But I did want to say we're bringing our big conference to Toronto this fall. It's actually a very beautiful time of the year to visit Toronto, but it's also a really excellent conference. One of the ways that I sort of explain it is a lot of conferences are regional. So if you come in and you go to a real estate conference, you maybe hear from somebody who is, like me, and I'll tell you about the one deal that I did with Amazon in our market. But if you come to our conference, you can hear from the global head of real estate at Amazon what he thinks they're going to do over the next 5 years. It's quite unique to get that perspective, and it's well worth the investment to come up. Plus, after all the nonsense the last couple of months, you get really good value on your dollar up in Canada. So it's kind of 40% off for you at the moment. Anyway, I promised Matt that I would be brief, so I'll be brief. But thank you very much for the warm welcome this morning.
Thank you, Alex. So let's segue into today's program. As you know, our programs committee has been putting out the best programs in the business. One of the reasons our programs are so outstanding is our audience participation. This is one last reminder that you've got notepads and pens at your table. They will be collected. If you have questions, please write them down. They'll be collected, and we'll have a Q&A session from 9 o'clock to 9:15 following the program. Today our program is Game Changers, Southern Nevada Sports Success, and What's Next in the Playbook. I'd like to introduce our moderator, Nate Jacobs. Nate serves as Vice President of Business Development at McCarthy Building Companies and responsible for managing strategic client relationships and market visibility in Nevada. He focuses on both public and private markets with an emphasis on early project development, project creation, and design partner integration. In addition to his daily operational responsibilities, he's also taken on leadership roles in training, recruiting, community outreach, and industry involvement. Nate has been instrumental in establishing McCarthy as a sports and entertainment builder in Southern Nevada with successful projects such as Allegiant Stadium, Circa Las Vegas, and the future A's ballpark. Notable accomplishments include being named one of Engineering News Record's top young professionals, Vegas Inc.'s 40 Under 40, and Nevada Contractor Association's Member of the Year in 2017. Nate has also been a NAIOP member since 2017. Welcome to the stage, Nate Jacobs.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, marketing. That was a really long bio, so we'll do a couple shorter ones for the rest of the panel. But thanks a lot. It's definitely a privilege to be able to moderate this panel. At McCarthy, we've always focused on being community builders, and fortunate for the partners in our Las Vegas office, our community demand for arenas and stadiums has been significantly high over the last decade. So it's been a really cool place to work, and it's an honor to host this panel. So I know everybody's interested in hearing what the three folks on the panel are working on right now, so we're going to jump into some quick bios. Todd Bishop is the first. So Todd is Vice President with CAA Icon. CAA Icon is the world's leading owner's representative and strategic management consulting firm for private and public sports entertainment, facility owners and operators, franchises, and leagues. Todd brings more than 25 years of experience in project management and has been with CAA Icon for the last 10, successfully completing landmark projects such as Allegiant Stadium, Wrigley Field restoration, Frost Bank, and CFG arena renovation. Todd's currently engaged on the A's ballpark here in Las Vegas and has previously worked as for a general contractor and as a stadium operations assistant at Heinz Field with the Steelers. So welcome, Todd. Next up is Mr. Nick Tomasino, Chief Construction Officer for LVXP. So Nick's been instrumental in Las Vegas's entertainment growth over the last 18 years. His latest achievement was leading the development and construction of the already iconic Sphere. Prior to Sphere, Nick spearheaded construction projects for several notable sports and entertainment venues, including Las Vegas Ballpark in Summerlin, Dolby Live Theater, the Park, and the Chelsea. He's currently in the planning phase of construction for Las Vegas's next arena, designed to accommodate an NBA team. So welcome, Nick. All right, and our third panelist needs no introduction to this group, but Mr. Marc Badain, President of the Athletics. So before joining the A's, Marc served as President for Oakview Group Las Vegas Arena and Entertainment, where he oversaw the planning of a multi-billion-dollar integrated resort and arena project here in Las Vegas. Prior to that, spent 3 decades with the NFL Raiders, including 7 as the team's president. Marc was instrumental in the relocation to Las Vegas and led the team responsible for the successful development of Allegiant Stadium. A native of Rochester, he holds a bachelor's degree in economics from Emory University and is deeply committed to community engagement. So welcome, Marc. All right, so just sitting here, all three of you guys represent a really interesting and desirable to work in market niche of sports development. So I think to get started, let's just spend a couple minutes talking about how you got to your current role. Start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Nate. So I started out in the early 90s, came up through the trades in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, wound up working on the Pittsburgh Penguins arena in 2008, which is where I ran into the folks from what at the time was called Icon Venue Group, now CAA Icon. Completed that project in 2010. We called it Consol Energy Center at the time. It's now been rebranded as PPG Paints Arena. But had an opportunity to go work, as you mentioned, Nate, for the Steelers after that. Did that for about 3 years, decided it wasn't for me, and got the invitation to join the Icon team down in Atlanta on Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Was there for about a year and a half, and then went to Chicago for Wrigley Field renovations, which was really a great, iconic project. Sure. Is that better? Is that good? Good?
I think so. Thank you.
All right, good, great. Great iconic project. And that led me down here to Las Vegas to join Mr. Badain on the Allegiant Stadium project. After we wrapped that up, a couple projects over on the East Coast, and now on the A's project again with Mr. Badain. So that's how I got where I am.
Awesome. How about you, Nick?
Somewhat of a similar story. Grew up in the business, been in construction my entire life, fourth generation construction. So through osmosis, just been around it my entire life from a kid, whether it was pushing a broom in a model home or just a light commercial building. Every single summer since the age of 12 on a construction site. So I don't know that you can get a better mentorship. Even at the time, all the blood, sweat, and tear. I just wanted to go play with the friends and go hang out. But quite honestly, it really accelerated my career. Decided to be able to go to college. Went to Michigan State University for construction management. Which, if any of your children are looking to be able to get into construction, I highly recommend Michigan State's program. That was a small plug. But nonetheless, I went off to college, broke Dad's heart because he didn't have his right-hand guy to be able to help run whatever it is that he had. And then the rest is history. Quite honestly, with that being said, the chairman had mentioned earlier recommending individuals to this field. There's so many different avenues within construction, development, architecture, all the way across the board. You should really speak to your children and others to be able to get into it. That being said, moved on to Las Vegas. I've been in Vegas for almost 18 years. Definitely call it my home. Got 3 children that have been born and raised in Las Vegas, and with it, the community, it's certainly embraced me, and I've embraced the community. It's been real fun over the years to be able to be involved with various different economic cycles in Las Vegas and to be able to see the growth. Since the time that I arrived, quite honestly, I never thought I'd say it, but it is really a completely different city. And with all that being said, it's been a real honor to be able to take part with that growth. Most recently, completing the Sphere project. Most of my career has been on the construction side, general contracting. I've done quite a bit of the owner's rep role. Sphere was a combination of both. I led the general contracting effort along with the owner's representation. So quite honestly, having completed Sphere of late, honestly is changing the Game Changers title. It changes Las Vegas. It puts it on the map, even with those that hadn't prior thought of Las Vegas being on the map from a destination and technology standpoint. So that's really my story. And here I am with LVXP, a group of investors that are looking to be able to bring the next arena to Las Vegas. The NBA arena, there's certainly several that are competing to be able to take the honor. We've got a pretty good head start with what we've progressed with, and we hope to be successful as the next arena here in Las Vegas.
So we did a similar panel to this late last year, and it was actually at Las Vegas Ballpark, which Nick was on the executive team that started. So very cool. All right, Mark, how about you? You want to spend a minute just sharing how you got to your current role?
Sure. I got into sports the old-fashioned way, which was nepotism. My grandfather was a school teacher. He was a gym teacher in Brooklyn, New York. And this was back in the heyday of athletics there. And he had a chance to coach some very famous athletes and people in sports. One of them was Al Davis, the former owner of the Raiders. And they remained friends their whole lives. So I had a chance to meet him a few times. We were always a Raider family growing up. And when my grandfather passed away when I was 17, Mr. Davis gave a eulogy at the funeral, handed me his business card and said, if you want to work as an intern at training camp, get in touch with me when you're in college. So I held on to that business card like it was gold, and I wrote a letter. And a couple of months later, I was spending my summer between my junior and senior year as a training camp intern in Oxnard. I walked in the door there, I said, in 25 years I'm going to be running this place. But no, that's not really what I said. But it did lead to a great career, ultimately culminating in the Allegiant Stadium project, which we're obviously very proud of, and was probably the pinnacle of new facilities until this guy built the Sphere, which I just have to give you credit. I've been to a lot of shows there. It's really, it's just a remarkable achievement, and it's certainly great for Vegas and something that we're all now sort of striving to achieve. My current role, I wouldn't advise this as a strategy. I spent pretty much the past 5 years bashing my current employer, both publicly and privately, and questioning their ability to get the job done, which resulted in them offering me the job. But I've had that lesson a couple times in my career, is sometimes you have preconceived notions of what's going on in another organization, and you base that off of the wrong data points. And so when they reached out to me around the first of the year, obviously a lot of people mentioned it to me. It made a lot of sense. The whole band was basically there. It's the same contractor. It's the same JV. It's the same project management team. It's the same sales agency. It's the same architect of record. So it just made a lot of sense. When Sandy and John reached out, we spent a good 6 weeks, I'll just say, dating and making sure it was the right fit for both of us. I'm sure they wanted to understand who I was, where I was, and whether I'd be the right fit, and I wanted to do the same. And so it was a good process and a good learning experience. And I'm really excited about the project. I walked into an absolutely amazing scenario. A lot of the hard work's already been done. And obviously we all know what it's like to do projects in this town and how much easier and what a get-to-yes community this is. So to be able to come in and help build a new iconic building and do it again with the same team of people was something that was pretty easy to say yes to.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's actually a really good segue to our first question. So knowing the two of you are working really closely together on the ballpark, and then we hit our first milestone by breaking ground last month, which is awesome. Yeah. Woo! There's definitely still a lot of work to be done, both in the design and development phase. So, Mark, why don't we start with you, knowing that we have an audience of real estate professionals in the world, in the room, and just give us a quick summary of where we're at, maybe lessons learned from Allegiant that you're applying to the ballpark.
Yeah, we don't have time for the last part of that question. Obviously, that project was a great project and led to this one. We are, as you said, we've officially broken ground. We'll do a ceremonial groundbreaking when the date is right. There's a lot of people here in the community, a lot of elected officials and people who are instrumental in getting the project this far along. So we're just trying to find the right date that makes sense to do more of a celebration. But we're in the ground. Todd can probably talk a little bit more about the progress that's actually on the site. But we're on time, we're on schedule. We'll open in time for the 2028 season. We're opening an experience center at the Uncommons. I think I saw the Burke folks here. Hello. So we're opening an experience center there that will show all the elements of the ballpark, all of the features of the ballpark. It'll be a great place to visit, even if you're just curious about the project. It's going to be a really fun interactivity zone-based type of experience center. So that'll open up in September and October. But the project team's ready to go, and the project's financed. We have entitlement. We lost our slides, but everything is moving along pretty well. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about what's going on the site. I know we have some slides we can certainly show as you're talking, and I can interrupt you, which I'm pretty good at.
Yeah. You've got the clicker too, Mark.
Agreed is good at interrupting when necessary. On site right now, we're grading, cutting the pad, doing some cut and fill, getting the pad to the pad ready state. We are anticipating our foundation permit middle of next month, and we're primed and ready to start putting deep foundations in, and foundations in shortly after that. That's kind of that. We've mobilized the trailer site to the trailer complex to the northeast side of the site off of Tropicana, and like Mark said, we're just primed and ready to go, and very excited to get that foundation permit next month. So.
Cool. So kind of a follow-up for you, Todd. So being that ICON represents clients in the sports development market across the country and really across the world, where your experience is taken, can you share a little bit about current trends that you're seeing that we're applying to the athletics ballpark, or what's just a little bit different about building in Vegas? Suites come to mind for me.
Yeah, of course. Well, so that's a good segue into the trend. I would say that the trend that, at least on our projects, is to go smaller, go a smaller building with a higher concentration of premium spaces. So that's kind of the sort of the big overarching trend that we're seeing on our side. In terms of the uniqueness of working in Vegas, so from a design and construction perspective, the weather obviously hits you. We're going to do all of our deep foundations at night, because it's going to be so damn hot. So you don't do that everywhere, obviously. And then from a design perspective, when you build stadiums here, you got to put roofs on them because it's too damn hot, and you gotta enclose the building, and you gotta cool it. So that's a big factor in what we do here in Las Vegas. I would also say that having done a couple of these now, our interactions with Clark County and the various staffs, we really truly appreciate the fairness and the engagement we get from the county staffs. We couldn't do this without it. So want to just take my hat off to the county staff and say thank you for working with us and facilitating everything we do on these projects. So
there's a reason we have Todd in construction and not in sales. I just want to take a second and explain some of the design features of the building. But thank you. Look, to my earlier point about the Sphere, you can't come here and just build a normal building. And what the Fisher family did and the A's organization did was hire just an incredible architecture team led by the Bjarke Ingels group, and they came up with this rendering, and they came up with this phenomenal building. And I don't want to spend too much time, and I'll just say when you drive down the Strip now and when you see the Strip from the various spots around the city, the prominence of what this building will be and the reason they spent so much time and energy designing something iconic is because it needs to be that way to be part of the Vegas Strip and the Vegas landscape. The view you're seeing right now is looking sort of southeast, so it'd almost be like you were at the corner of Trop and Las Vegas Boulevard by New York, looking into what's one of the largest, what do we call it, cable net window?
Cable net curtain wall.
We're going to have to come up with something more clever for that. But it allows a lot of natural sunlight to permeate the building without it getting hot, because the sun will basically come in from the backside. And the roof structure is meant to represent pennants, like a baseball pennant. It's a very intimate building. It's about 30,000 fixed seats, 33,000 total with SROs. So it's the smallest building in Major League Baseball. And that was done for a reason. To Todd's point earlier, some of the lessons that we learned at Allegiant is this is an incredible market for premium product. And sometimes the older facilities, the facilities that were built in the 90s or even the 2000s, went larger just to get the largest crowd in there without realizing that the experience was going to change for the folks that were coming to games. And obviously the in-home experience was going to change for people who didn't come to the games. So you're starting to see the trend. We did it with Allegiant when I was with the Raiders. You're starting to see it with a lot of different venues that they're getting a little smaller. They're obviously very expensive, so that helps with that as well. But you get a better experience for everybody in the building than some of the seats that are in some of the older facilities.
Very cool. All right, changing gears a little bit. So having witnessed the importance of T-Mobile and Allegiant being able to bring such diversity of events to town, everything from like the NBA Midseason Classic to T-Swift, our community understands the importance of a multi-use venue. So Nick, LVXP is in the early stages of development with a focus on being NBA ready, but can you talk a little bit about how you consider and plan for other event uses as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And also to really just kind of piggyback on the previous conversation regarding the premium amenities, the arena, the NBA experience is really no different. And I'm sure, Mark, when you were heading up Oakview and you were in concept design phase with your arena, that was a primary focus. Well, it's exactly that focus for our arena as well. With some of the valuations for what these teams will fetch, the ongoing discussed franchise fee for an NBA team is upward of $6 billion. So if you could just think of the capital outflow and the revenues needed to be able to offset a $6 billion price tag without any real asset other than the piece of paper of the franchise. So with that being said, Las Vegas, with it being a unique opportunity, premium amenities for an arena are an absolute must. Game changing, T-Mobile, a little bit different, built in a little bit of a different era, even though it just seemed like yesterday that it opened. There's various other arenas that have just recently been built and that have come online that just have really taken that premium amenity and just actually raise the bar, and that's exactly what we intend to do as well. So going back to the question, so with the arena that's specific to basketball that is intended to be premium, you're probably a little less open with what to utilize the space for. You have a premium amenity. You don't necessarily want the rodeo to be able to come through in a venue that has a lot of real high-end finishes similar to Sphere. And that's kind of the direction things begin to go with the arena. However, concerts will no doubt be a primary focus. Having the venue equipped from a technology standpoint for connectivity to be able to future-proof, and a lot of lessons learned from Sphere with how to embrace various different technology, not only for today but for tomorrow. So with that being said, the tech's definitely an aspect with an arena-focused venue, and determining what type of tech you bring in to be able to complement an artist. That's definitely a balancing act.
Yeah. Are we going to see some of the experiential touches from the Sphere in LVXP?
Yes and no. So there's certainly no competition with Sphere. Sphere is most likely going to be a one-of-a-kind here in Las Vegas. However, there are many different attributes that can be applied to an arena setting that we're looking at currently. And a lot of it ties back to return on investment. And a lot of it will be determined by the owner. You get an owner that's coming in, they're looking to be able to spend $6 billion. This is their major bucket list, and with it, they may want to do something above and beyond what a traditional NBA team owner would spend on an arena. So a lot of it will be predicated on the willingness of an owner to be able to spend beyond what a return on investment would typically bring in. So I think I somewhat answered it, but
yeah.
But there's no doubt there is that balancing act if you've got the financial individuals at the helm. And Technology is not cheap. As we all know, Sphere was not cheap, but it has definitely changed the game.
Yeah, well, the renderings of LVXP look beautiful, so I know everyone's excited for it. From a builder's perspective, working in the public market versus the private is vastly different. So public projects tend to have stringent pre-qual requirements, establish local and disadvantaged business goals that dictate procurement strategy, and bring a heightened responsibility as stewards of public funding. So for a little bit meatier question, let's go to Marc. Can you discuss how introducing public funding to a capital stack changes the team's approach in the development process?
If this was a deposition, I'd ask you to repeat the question. It's a long intro. And by the way, if you don't want the rodeo, and any other events you don't want, you're happy to send them our way. In terms of public-private partnerships, there's a lot written about it. There's a lot of criticism on it. Putting aside some of the points I'll get to in a second, one thing it does do is it brings alignment. So you have alignment between the people in the city and then the team and the business community. So there's nobody at odds when you have the public investment. We obviously saw that with Allegiant. We saw projections on what it was going to do for visitation, and it blew those numbers out of the water. Vegas is a bit of an anomaly there. If you're looking at other markets, I can understand why sometimes there's some pushback. But I do believe when you evaluate the sports franchises in facilities, and in certain vicinities, there's a quantifiable return, and then there's a non-quantifiable return. And the critics are always going to point to the quantifiable and say what they could spend the money on, but they don't measure what that actually does for a community. And you've seen and everyone in this room has seen what sports has done for Las Vegas, not just financially and economically, but in terms of raising the profile of the city, right? Las Vegas is now one of 30 cities with an NFL team. There's 2 in New York, 2 in LA. And that's a big deal. And there's a lot of exposure and a lot of free exposure that you get. Every time there's a game in Las Vegas, they do the iconic shot down Las Vegas Boulevard. Well, you're getting, in the worst NFL game, you're getting 15 million people watching it. And so you're getting a free 20, 30-second commercial for Las Vegas every time they show it. Nobody's putting a dollar figure on that, but there's a value there. So as a developer and as a sports team owner or sports team executive looking to evaluate it, to your point about return on investment, obviously the public investment increases the viability of the project and increases the returns. So if it's a part of the capital stack, it just makes it a much more viable project. When leagues are looking to evaluate markets, they obviously like to see the public-private partnership, both because of the returns, the precedent that it sets for future projects, and because what I'm talking about, the alignment between the public entities and the private entities, because it's not just about building the stadium, it's about what you're going to do to utilize that stadium as an asset for the community, bring as many events as possible, because these facilities are now 365-day-a-year operations. They're not just 10 games and then lock it up. So they're a huge economic driver for their communities. They create a lot of jobs during construction. They create a lot of jobs in operations. So I just think there's a whole industry of critics out there that are paid witnesses and paid experts to come in and dump all over public-private partnerships. And I would say for the most part, they're wrong.
Yeah. Any other comments on that one?
I've read some of the clickbait, and with you being a public partially public funded, I feel for you. I certainly do. And how I feel for you is, through the Sphere process, it was always identified as a boondoggle or a vision that's never going to be able to come together. And it all does come together. And the individuals that are behind the curtain, like yourself, you know exactly how everything's come together. You know exactly that whatever's being put out there is false, or you know how exactly the plan is getting put together. So with that, I understand and I can appreciate that. So certainly understand the challenges that the media puts into play with a lot of these developments.
Right. Well, with all the developments we've talked about, I mean, collectively as the sports community, a new one at that, how well is it working in terms of collaboration and cooperation amongst entities? Are we nearing a point of market saturation anytime soon with sports? So I know Steve Hill's always kind of said that baseball fills the necessary gap, but...
Yeah, I'm going to jump in on this one. So we all know the A's are coming to Las Vegas. That is going to be a tremendous boon. The Aviators in Las Vegas have proved just the interest in baseball. My son, 13 years old, huge into baseball. I feel that baseball is just growing both nationally and internationally. You see that with the Dodgers, the Asian contingent, Japan, Korea. It's just a very, very popular sport, and it's becoming more and more popular, especially through Mexico and throughout Latin America. So next big question is NBA. NBA, coming to Las Vegas, to everybody, it seems like a no-brainer. What Las Vegas did to the NHL from a branding standpoint was tremendous. I've firsthand been able to see that entire process with everybody in this room. The value of the NHL, with a lot of what Marc just mentioned as it relates to the visibility, it really made the NHL sexy again as it relates to the overall brand and sell. Might think NBA probably doesn't need that in some fashion, but yes, they could always use increased value to brand. And with the 30 current NBA team owners, they're always trying to figure out a way to be able to unlock value. That all being said, we along with others, are very optimistic that Las Vegas can easily support an NBA team, along with a lot of the trend that's taking place with Vegas being the destination that everybody marks their calendar to be able to watch their team play in Las Vegas. As much as we hate going to a game and having 60% or 50% or 40% of the crowd being the opposing team, that's no doubt whether it's the A's or Raiders or whatever future NBA team, it'll always be that challenge. So all in all, Las Vegas can, I truly believe, support an NBA team. And hopefully over the summer, it goes to vote, and we have that reconciliation that it's been voted, and we progress with an NBA team here in Las Vegas.
Nate, the answer is obviously no. We'll build as many buildings as people are willing to pay for, so no risk of market saturation.
That's the answer.
That is the answer. Yep.
Thanks, Todd. All right, so one more open question, I think, before we jump into Q&A from the audience. So there's a lot of uncertainty facing the market today as we talk about tariffs, escalation, and a diminishing workforce. But fortunately or unfortunately, everybody on this panel has been there before. Just over 5 years ago, the entire world shut down almost. So teams at the Sphere and Allegiant both adjusted to the situation and pressed on. So having weathered uncertainty before, what are your thoughts on the current outlook of the market, and how are you dealing with it from your perspective? It'd be awesome to hear from all of you.
Go ahead, Bishop. I'll go last.
You're so nice to close out that last segment. Can you start this one off for us?
I will, Nick. Yep. Well, I look at those challenges as just, I don't really think about a diminishing workforce. I think of an evolving workforce. The workforce is changing, but and I may be in a little bit of a bubble doing stadiums, arenas, and buildings like that, but you tend to attract the best of the best. Mortensen McCarthy, for example, and the trade partners that you get are really strong as well. So when you go to fight through something like trying to open a building during a pandemic, everybody steps up. That's just what I've observed. So I look out in the future, and I'm not afraid of it at all. Nobody really knows what the effects of the tariffs are going to be. We have a plan in place to deal with it on our project, and we're proceeding. So that would be my comment on that one.
How about you, Nick?
I would love to hear you expand on how you plan to cover the tariff, because the tariff conversation comes up so frequently, and quite honestly, it's a very difficult path to maneuver. And with that being said, I think we all are traveling confidently that things will continue to be able to go in the right direction. And there's been a real charge in negotiations and from a geopolitical standpoint, but no doubt a very, very difficult proposition to be able to hedge against without derailing a development.
For sure. So, I'll at a real high level, I'll discuss the strategy. The first leg of the strategy is to source as much domestically as we can. Where we're not able to do that, we're trying to lock the procurement up as early as possible, and then you hit the easy button and say we have contingency in place for what may come. So that's the high level three legs of the strategy right there. So.
I guess I'd just add, with any of these projects and any of the projects people in this room work on, you always build in an appropriate contingency, and then with some of the uncertainties, you have the ability to juice that contingency. For our types of projects, it really starts and stops with the owner. So if I go back to my previous positions, right, Marc was the type of owner that's willing to jump out of the plane without a parachute and figure it out on the way down. He was willing to take some very significant risks. Tim Lewicki at OVG, I think, has been through so many of these venues and seen everything. He knows it will always work itself out. And he's built a company that has diversified itself so that they can withstand some of these shocks to the system. With John and this group, they've been so meticulous at this, and they've run so many companies in so many different industries, right? The family has a lot of different holdings. So they've always been prepared for the unexpected, and that's no different on this project. And he's committed to building this no matter what it takes. So when you go into that, it adds a lot of confidence, but you also make sure that you build in those protections, because it's like they say when you're going to get married, like something's going to go wrong at the ceremony. Just be prepared for it. Things are going to go wrong. They just are. We've got 30 months of a construction build in a very uncertain environment. But you have
32.
32 months. That's good. But you have an owner that's been working on it. The A's have the same benefit and curse that the Raiders did, in that they're going last. We're going last. So you have the ability to see what everybody else did, learn from their mistakes, learn from what they did right, incorporate some of those positives and try and eliminate the negatives from the building. And so the team has prepared for it. So I'm very confident. I know that it adds some uncertainty, and those shocks aren't great to deal with for a day or two, but it's a very prepared, intelligent group that has so much experience in this field that I don't think it's going to be a concern.
Yeah, definitely some tribal knowledge with the group, having lived through it before. So with that, I think we're going to open up to.
Do you have more questions?
I do have more. Yeah, I can keep going if you want me to keep going before we open it to Q&A. Okay. Yeah, so there's one more that we didn't hit. So talking about direct economic impacts that stadiums have and will continue to bring to the community, what role does the associated mixed-use development play in the long-term success of modern stadiums? So talking about all the adjacent development that goes on around it. So I know we have some examples in the region of stadiums that have failed because of that. Like Phoenix is probably one that comes to mind. So that Phoenix really struggled with their downtown basketball stadium for a long time because of development around it. So I think that's kind of an open question.
I'll jump in on this one. It kind of goes back to a previous discussion regarding these team values. And going back to the NBA franchise expansion, potential price tag is $6 billion for a team. Them now allowing more private equity money to be able to then get introduced, to be able to help with the purchase of an NBA team. You're going to have a conglomerate of billionaire individuals that come together that are thinking bigger than just owning a team. So with that being said, with one of the previous developments that Marc was involved with Oakview, it was a very similar arena-centric casino hotel, and that's currently what we've got planned for our site as well. That's what we currently have entitled. So with it, it does open the avenue to be able to have your development anchored with an arena, to be able to allow for future growth and to really kind of capture within the bottle the amount of foot traffic that you're able to pull in with these large events. And it creates a little bit of an anchor that's in-house. So with that being said, I think there will be a continued future trend nationally, and I think specifically here in Las Vegas, with utilizing an arena or stadium as an anchor to a multi-use development. And I know with the A's and Bally's, and I can't speak firsthand, I'm sure you'll be able to talk to it, but it's hand in glove with the rest of the adjacent developments. So I think it's a no-brainer.
Todd, you want to jump in? Or?
On Bally's?
No, not on Bally's.
Okay.
Keep your
good.
mouth shut.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
No, the ballpark is 9 acres. The parcel is about 35, so it leaves another 25 plus acres of development. So it will be the anchor tenant for a mixed-use integrated resort with a certain number of keys, casino, retail, mixed use. You're correct in that these buildings have now become the anchors for large-scale events. One of the most successful ones is probably the Battery in Atlanta. What they did out there in Cobb County, they saw all the growth and where all the population was growing, and they moved the ballpark there, and that's been a huge success for Liberty and the folks that were involved in that. When you looked at where we put Allegiant, there weren't necessarily as many opportunities for surrounding development because you looked across the freeway and you have the best mixed-use developments and integrated resorts in the world. So how are you going to build something that's going to draw that many people to the surrounding area as opposed to going back to where they were? Where the athletics building is located is a much better opportunity for that. You're on one of the most iconic and busiest corners in the world, surrounded by great properties. So the opportunity both for us and our partner in Bally's is stratospheric in terms of what we can do here. Vegas, again, is a little bit of an anomaly there. When you're looking at developments in other areas, it's obviously market-driven, it's obviously demographic-driven. What are you competing against? How many other teams are there? What else is in the surrounding area? But here, this opportunity is going to be pretty spectacular. You see it with T-Mobile and what they have with Toshiba Plaza, what you're talking about building, what Tim and Oakview Group are talking about building. It's just a different model here.
So do you see a benefit to creating a true stadium district to incorporate all of those? I think I've read like 65% of the attendees at Allegiant games walk over the Hacienda Bridge. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, that's 70,000 people, right? So we had to come up with a solution that made sense both for locals and for visitation, and not just for the 10 Raider games, but for all the other events. This will be a very similar scenario, and that'll be very walkable from, I want to say, 55,000 hotel rooms. So just the accessibility of this building to integrate into the surrounding area and be supportive of all the events that are going on at the properties adjacent to it is just a great piece of infrastructure, another asset for that entire area to utilize.
Awesome. All right, Dan, we open it up for open Q&A? Yes. All right.
Can I borrow one of your microphones and switch? Thank you. Thank you. Mark, there's a famous line, "May the bridges we burn light our way." So
Where's this one going? I think I'll go back to my slides.
No, I would like to thank Mark. 4 years ago this month, we had Steve Hill, myself moderating, and Marc Badain virtual. And today we probably have 330 people live, so it's pretty exciting. The first question is, what happens to our minor league ballpark when the A's come?
I don't think anything is planned to happen to it. Donnie,
Not the ballpark, the minor league team. How does that work?
My understanding is they're going to continue to operate and stay here. Donnie Logan has been a huge advocate of this project. He's one of the reasons it actually happened. He was one of the people out front in support from day one. He's one of the reasons I took the job. And the relationship between the A's and the Aviators is a great one. And having your minor league franchise in your same city is an advantage, right? Just from a travel standpoint, from an access standpoint, from a collaboration standpoint, having the players that are coming up through your farm system be a 20-minute drive away is a pretty significant advantage. So I don't believe there's any plans to change that relationship at all.
And then how do you see that? Are you worried about the 81 games? How do you see that, locals versus tourists?
Well, baseball's obviously got some issues with the number of games, but they've done some things to liven up the pace of games, those types of things. They play during the summer, which obviously the heat is a factor here, which we've mitigated with the design of the building. but it's also an opportunity to fill some slower times of the year here, and baseball is always a summer sport for families. So it fills a nice a nice gap in the calendar. Am I worried about the 81 games? Yeah, of course. We got to sell 2.5 million tickets. But this is a very strong market. And when you juxtapose what Vegas, if you're building a building, call it in an existing market, right? Let's pick Tennessee. So the Titans are building a new football stadium. That's a great market. It's growing. But the number of markets that you can go and sell to is basically two. It's the existing people that live there and season ticket holders, and then it's essentially, will there be a broker market, a secondary market? And that's really what you're looking at in evaluating most of the facilities in markets unlike Vegas. In Vegas, you have an incredibly strong local market. You have a market that really likes baseball. You have a lot of affluence in this market. We've all seen the people that have moved here over the last 10, 15 years for a bunch of different reasons, whether you want to say for tax reasons or for lifestyle reasons, or for the opportunity to experience everything that Vegas has. You also have the resort corridor, you also have the tourists, and then you have probably the most robust secondary broker market in the world because of everything we've talked about. So am I worried about the 81 games? Sure, of course I'll be worried about the 81 games, but I'm pretty confident in what this market can deliver and the product that we're going to put out there and the facility that we're going to build and the experience that we're going to provide to our customers will be able to deliver for those 81 games and for all the other events that we bring in the building.
A couple years ago, Steve Hill was up here, and I asked him if he, not really good at math, I asked him if he was worried about 82 games, and he said, well, that means we'd be in the playoffs and at home, so I'm not worried about attendance at all. To Nick and Mark, how many games does your pro forma have, or not games, days of the year do you have?
You know what? The actual quantity of days, I don't have that right off the top of my head. It is intended to be one of the most utilized venues nationwide. We intend to be able to certainly pull some of the venue or some of the events from T-Mobile, but I think. And I'm kind of looking across the entire way for our financial lead. Taylor, how many events was that? 121. I was going to say 111, just from my hip. So glad to hear would have been very accurate. So 121 events a year.
We have the 81 baseball dates, a projection of about 50. When you say events, there's A events, B events, C events, right, depending on the amount of attendance. But I would hope that this building is busy 365 days a year. We'll have a robust tour program. This is a market that's very strong for private events. There's still building convention space everywhere. There's still a lack of convention space if you talk to the people that are in the industry. So not that we're a convention center, but we provide a different experience. So if you're bringing your clients here, you're bringing a convention here, and you want to do something different, this affords you that opportunity. And we saw that at Allegiant with the number of private events, and we plan on seeing it here as well.
And Todd, this could be a question for you. By the way, Todd, you get A+ for NAIOP Panelist 101, suck up to Clark County. How much do secondary uses influence the primary design of the building?
Significantly. As we're going through the design process, we'll bring folks like Live Nation in to make sure we're optimizing for concerts. We spend a ton of time thinking about alternate events other than baseball. Someone mentioned dirt shows. We hate dirt shows, but they make money, so we find a way to accommodate them. So it's pretty significant.
Kind of in the same line, how have you guys done with transportation? Uber, boring, anything in your stadiums, in design and expectations?
Well, we incorporate a traffic study. Obviously, Kimley Horn did ours for both Allegiant and for A's Ballpark. quite honestly, there's a lot more scrutiny around A's ballpark than there is was around Allegiant because it's.
Are you nuts? What's the matter with you? There's more scrutiny on this than on Allegiant? Sorry, I apologize. Go ahead. Continue. Sorry. Couldn't help myself.
There's a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot of scrutiny on the A's ballpark for both traffic and parking. But you know, we start with the traffic study, and then it becomes it evolves based on feedback from the stakeholders around, and that's how we deal with parking and transportation. So on many projects.
This is the last panel we're doing here.
It sounds like there's going to be a follow-up meeting, and Todd's going to break some news to Mark after this.
Don't worry, the RJ's here. Speak freely.
Our site is actually perfectly positioned between Las Vegas Boulevard and Paradise. We've been in deep conversations with the Boring Company to be able to have a station on Las Vegas Boulevard, along with Paradise, and potentially even connecting the two to be able to make a larger connection point. The monorail, there's a monorail station that's in very close proximity. I've got confidence that the monorail will continue and coexist. You have RTC, bus stop right in front of our property, Uber, plenty of parking, the direct access onto Sahara to be able to then get onto the 15. That'll be easy. Also, in addition to that, there is a large plan to be able to redevelop the interchange at Sahara in the 15, very similar to what took place with Tropicana. So we feel pretty confident that the access in has been initially conceptually well conceived, and you're always going to have a challenge, and you're always going to have the critics. And when it all comes together, I remember T-Mobile. I remember like it was yesterday. T-Mobile. I was working for MGM Resorts. I was working, building the park right in front of T-Mobile, doing Dolby Live. At that time was Park Theater, and that was all the scuttlebutt and all the negative press. And going back to what we were talking about with negative media, and there was this concern about parking, and it just all worked itself out. And I've been to numerous events at T-Mobile, and I've quite honestly never had any issues with parking. Allegiant Stadium, same thing. There's a lot of negative press, and quite honestly, the parking is just fine at Allegiant Stadium. So, you know, we've got a tremendous amount of engineers that work through and conduct the traffic studies, and you know, the likes of Kimley Horn do an amazing job. I don't think that there's anybody better in town as it relates to understanding the traffic models. So, with all that being said, yeah, rest assured.
Mark, if you're a Catholic season ticket holder, can you park at the church?
Yeah,
From the audience.
I'm not even going there.
I can't control.
Nice try.
Nate, if you have any more that you've had, you can take us out of here unless the audience has any more.
Yeah, that's everything that we have prepared, so you can open it to the audience for questions if you want.
Anything? Anyone? It's the last time you'll see them all here. But you got to ask them through me because it gets a little. What do you got?
Do you know where the NBA team is going to come from? Will it be an expansion team?
Is the NBA going to be an expansion, or are they going to move, do you think?
You know what? There's certainly opportunity for either. However, at this point, we understand that it's most likely going to be an expansion team. But anything can happen, so you never say never, but at the same time, we feel quite confident it'll be an expansion team.
I'm coming.
How are you going to deal with ticket pricing and getting
Ticket pricing and anyone below a really, really rich person.
Are they Catholic?
A non-Catholic, less than really, really rich person.
Yeah, there'll be ticket prices for families, there'll be ticket prices for students, there'll be ticket prices for locals. We're doing all that research now. If my slides worked, I would put up a QR code for the deposit campaign that you can get on for more information. We're doing a whole bunch of surveying of all the people that are in our database to find out, hey, there it is, to find out what this market really wants out of that product. Obviously, we've talked about the premium, and there'll be some incredible premium product here, but we recognize that there has to be an acknowledgement of locals, and there has to be product available that doesn't break the bank, especially for families during the summer. And with the size and scope of our building, you hear everybody say, there's no bad seat in this place. There really isn't. So even the tickets that might be perceived as the most affordable and the furthest from the field, we're really more like a super arena than we are a ballpark. So what are we, 960,000 square feet, something like that? Yeah, I'd say the average baseball stadium is probably $1.2 million to $1.5 million. The average football stadium is $1.5 million to $3 million. The high end are always the stadiums in Texas, but and the average arena, I don't know how big your arena is, but between 600,000 and 800,000. And so we're somewhere between the largest arena in the world and the smallest baseball park in the world. So that intimacy will reflect itself in the ticket product, and the prices will reflect that too. So you'll be able to come. Good question.
What about practice facilities and things like that?
Yeah, the question was practice facilities. The main difference is, I don't want to say baseball teams don't practice. That's the wrong way of explaining it. But they go to spring training in Arizona, and then they play games. There's 162 games, so they play 6 days a week. So there's no need for a true practice facility. But we are talking to some folks locally about some sort of academy or campuses or things like that where we can have some office space and really some tentpole facilities to get out in the community and be a part of the entire valley.
Thank you very much.
All right. Matt, you want to close this up? Oh, we got one more?
Thank you, everyone. Excellent program. Want to say thanks again to our speakers, our breakfast meeting sponsor, Cox Business. Thank you all for attending this morning and watching via Zoom. I hope to see you all again on June 19th here at the North Orleans for our next breakfast program. Thank you.